This is a show about facing fear, unlocking courage, and taking action.
Courage isn't necessarily a daunting thing.
It's going to give you more purpose. It's going to give you more drive.
It feels like making a courageous decision is going to get you closer to who you aspire to be.
It's knowledge plus faith plus action equals courage.
I think people do a lot of busy work and think they're working, but it's about focus. If you don't know what you're supposed to be doing every day, you're not working hard. You can work hard and it doesn't equate to 15 hours too.
Output is a combination of how hard you're working and how smart you're working.
Oh my gosh, what a week, what a month. Is this like, can you imagine this is what, did you envision June being like this? And folks, Mike and Kass Lazerow, this ain't their first rodeo. Let's just call, right? Like this isn't your first time through, but you kind of like went and did your life and you raised kids and then you knew you were going to go do this. And then suddenly, holy shit, shoveling shit. And welcome back to the crazy tour. It feels like you've been on a crazy tour, no?
Oh, big time. It definitely does. We had our launch week. The book came out last Tuesday, but Monday we had this huge party at the New York Stock Exchange with about 179 entrepreneurs and about 100 other people. And it was phenomenal. And we're just happy that it's out.
I would have obviously been there, if I was on the East Coast.
Of course.
I feel like you guys are fast friends. People, if you have not picked up Shoveling Shit, and by the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about right now, I don't mean literally. Like, go pick up the book called Shoveling Shit, which is, as my guests would tell you, it's a love story, and it's their love story. I mean, it really kind of is your love story. What I fell in love with immediately was the two of you. I loved you when I met you the first time, just because, just newsflash, we are all from the same hometown. So we talked about the importance of Lido's Pizza, and some of us talked about the importance of crab cakes. Maybe some others are not on that.
Don't be upset with me. We're still friends, even though I don't eat crab.
Michael, Mike, I don't know how you did it all these years. This is absurd.
Listen, each to their own, right? Like, we have a we and we have a me, and just because we have different preferences doesn't mean that we're not a great fit for each other.
Well, I'll tell you, that's a kind of a great place to start on the book. So the we and the me thing, you actually, some people say it and it's like, it's cute or it's flip, and it is, and it isn't. And it said a lot about how intentional the two of you are. Very early in the book, folks, I'm not giving anything away here, but I can only imagine the Seinfeld-esque like conversation with the two of you going, well, is it one voice? Do we just kind of have one voice? But I don't sound like you on this, and you're not me on this. So how do we make sure it was like very sweet and thoughtful for me as the reader, which I think the intent, right? Like I'm going through it and early on, like, hey, sometimes we're a we, other times this is Kass's perspective, other times this is Michael's perspective. And you clarify that for us pending on what the experience was for you, because I'm sure sometimes, Kass, how you experiences was different than how Mike experienced it. And so you make that very clear for us. How early in the process did you have that conversation?
Very early. I mean, Ryan, we were trying to figure out if we could do the we and just tell the stories. But at the end of the day, it's just like everything that we do. We stay in in our own lanes, and I didn't want to step on his expertise or his stories. And I think he felt the same about me.
I think she didn't want to own my mistakes more than anything.
Yes,
a friend of mine summarized the book as Mike fucks things up and Kass fixes it.
Who did that?
I'm not going to say names in a public setting like this. I didn't exactly see it like that, but there are a lot of this book is our mistakes. And, I'm in charge of sales. I'm in charge of product. Kass is in charge of operations. I'm in charge of raising money. So when you're talking about fundraising and sales and product, things go bad a lot. You have to pivot. People say no. And so I owned a lot of the mistakes, and a lot of the lessons came from stuff that I led. That was just a fact. I didn't quite
Same with
see it as
hiring.
like,
Same with
and
hiring, though.
hiring, yeah.
Like, we had our fair share of learning, and it was not always easy, but I don't know if I totally categorize it like that.
I mean, all I'm going to say is like, your audience probably like, who are these like wackadoodles? We've built a life together through building businesses together. So 8 businesses have generated between our companies and the seed investments about $10 billion of realized returns. And we don't talk about most of the success. We talk about kind of all the learnings, all the cheat codes, 50 plus that we wish we learned early on. And through those mistakes is where we've grown personally, where we've grown professionally. And I know where our relationship has grown the most, and everything is all great and you're, never fight like most couples out there, right? It's boring. But when you have 2 thinking human beings who are bouncing off each other every day, literally at home and at work, let's just say that sometimes you have disagreements, and how you kind of get through those is oftentimes taking responsibility for what you contributed, which is difficult if you're what I call a man.
Well, I got to tell you, Mike, first of all, you are a pioneer. You are officially the first human to ever use wackadoodle in over 200 episodes. I'm going to make sure AI is looking for this. And also, 99.7% chance that wackadoodle.com is available. I'm just, suggesting another possible business idea if this is interesting to you. Cass, do you see it that way too, though? Are you seeing like you're constantly fixing shit?
So I think operations in general, if I take like a 50,000 foot view down and looking at companies, operations in general is a lot of cleanup. It's a lot of reorganization. It's a lot of shit work, if you will. But when you start to put that into perspective of like, how does that fit within a company? It is often cleanup more than anything else, because with operations, you're being told where to go, what we have to execute, and then fix, right? Like that's usually how it works. We can be very proactive though with teams, and I think culture becomes a huge offense for companies if they can get it right. Otherwise, they're going to play defense their whole time.
So just to kind of give some love to Kass and Mike, if you haven't done the homework on these two, one, what I love the most about you is when I talk to you, you have this very parental sort of vibe, and like it's like it's probably the best compliment I think I can give you. Like, I want to be around you guys. I feel you as like a mom and a dad, and I think it's very lonely to be an entrepreneur. It's very lonely.
It is
to be a leader and like to go on this path. You could be on a team of 4 or 5, and if you're still afraid to share and have those conversations with a board, or like you just feel like you're terrified by those things. So one, like that is probably the best compliment I can give you. But also, second, Mike, you talk about the book being a series of mistakes and also cheat codes, but I mean, Buddy Media was a rocket ship. I'm sure it was messy. You did just fine selling that for over 740 million. I'm sure you know the exact number, to Salesforce. You've been involved with Liquid Death. You guys have a track record now of like seeing opportunities and then capitalizing on those moments. What's the secret? Like, what was your secret as whether it was your own or investing in others? Can you share a little bit of what you look for?
Yeah. So I think if I boil down our secret, it's, this idea that great founders or great founding teams have a visionary who's up front, who's looking for land, new land, primarily, at least in the tech world. And then you have a very strong person to get it done. And oftentimes those two don't fit together. The person who's creative, a little all over the place, a little crazy, typically has more ego, because you have to be kind of, big ego to basically say, listen, I'm going to launch this thing and I'm going to invite you to watch me fail in public. Like kind of a crazy approach to life. First, I'm just going to do my thing and go home afterward. And I think we've gotten some trends right. And I think whether you're, professional who, has been executive for 50 years or you're just starting out, look for trends. Trends are your friends. And if you're way too early, you get crushed. If you are a little early, you find yourself the most knowledgeable person in the room on a topic that's about to kind of go crazy. And you're not the smartest one in the room. So I was never the smartest one, but I was able to see trends. And I saw the internet when I was at journalism school in 1992, graduated in 96. We caught the social media, thing. We caught AI. And so it's, kind of looking at the future. And that's what we've done really well. None of that would have mattered without execution, which is where our lady friend on this pod comes in.
Hi, lady friend.
Hello.
Do you agree with this answer?
I do agree with it. I mean, there's just no way. I think it's rare. I haven't met one person who knows everything and how to get everything done and do it well. So I think the greatest partnerships and co-founders are those that have complementary skills and then stay out of each other's lane so that you can have speed and execution speak for themselves as opposed to infighting and micromanagement.
I'm jumping ahead a little bit. What should we be looking for next?
So in our world, venture capital is dead. Anyone who is looking to create a new firm based on the success of the past is going to get crushed. And the reason is because innovation is moving faster than ever. It's cheaper than ever to create new X, whatever X is, whether it's a physical product that you're using AI to iterate or whether it's actual software, which is being built by AI, right? Facebook is now saying that within 18 months, their software will exclusively be written by AI agents. And I think that's, if you're looking at the past for what to do, you're going to get crushed. Everything will be impacted by the greatest productivity tool in the history of productivity, which are these machines that can only do entry-level tasks very well. They're starting to do advanced tasks, and we're seeing it in some of our businesses, like, agents that do sales, that sign people up to webinars, that do stuff that you're like, oh, that's never going to happen. Well, it's happening. So wake up.
There's a lot of fear in that answer for certain people, right? Because it's funny. This past week, I did a keynote and I called it Hi, and it was all about how human intelligence still has a place with artificial intelligence. So before I kind of give away, I'm curious what your thought is on where's the blend between these two universes?
What I mentioned is basically lower level activities. So writing code, I'm not an engineer, but a lot of the code you write is not the guts that makes it unique. It's just the stuff that makes it work, right? And so, setting up a meeting, having an AI bot reach out and saying, in a very targeted way, which we're doing with some of our companies, set up meetings through kind of Calendly or other tools. You still need someone to connect in a human way. So executive recruiting and HR, these things are not going away. They're, human by nature. The people who will win are using these productivity tools to replace activities that they did manually in the past. And so I'm talking about not as a replacement tool. I'm talking about it as a productivity tool. And I just know, our life and just launching this book, we were able to do it with a tiny team because we use a lot of these productivity tools, both on outreach and drafting, not of the book, but of, a lot of materials that we would have had to hire an agency for.
Do you feel like the book is, and by the way, I truly love the book. Like, again, if I had a time machine to go back, the first thing I would have used it for was probably to have stumbled into you two around 1987 at Potomac Pizza or Lito's Pizza,
Exactly.
right? Although
Lido's.
that would have been awkward because I would have been like 10 years old and that nothing would have come of it. Although it would have been nice to have met you back then. But the amount of mistakes I've made in my businesses over the years is like, it's not small. And I when you're younger, you don't see them as badges. You see them as inadequacies.
Yeah.
You know, now there's a lot of keynotes. I'm not a fake it till you make it guy. I'm a mistake it till you make it. Like, what's the mistake we're making here? Let's learn from it. Let's iterate. Let's pivot. When you think about the book as a whole, and you guys talk about all the messy and all the mistakes you made and all the failures you made, like, do you see it that way? It's a badge. These are badges.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, you learn more. I mean, look, this is what teachers say all the time, right? This is what everyone wants their kids to understand, is that you will learn more from failure than not having action, right? Having done nothing. So, entrepreneurs, the thing about them is they have hope, they have optimism. Yes, they can sometimes tell themselves stories, which sometimes gets them in trouble. But when you have like a failed product launch, it's just getting one step closer to the answer, right? That's how we look at it. So we take those challenges and turn them into, oh my God, okay, I just learned something. This is all the data that I needed. And now let's actually give the client what they want. Let's make some money.
All right, let's say, because you're in a product launch right now. I mean, you're right. The
Big
book is
time.
the book is a product launch. So
Right.
as you think about, I mean, this is absurd to even suggest that there'd be another book, right? Blasphemy.
Yeah.
Blasphemy.
Blasphemy is right.
However, right? Like when I look, Cass, I would never, I have no idea what birthing a child is like. However, the closest I can get was this writing a book and how painful it was.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
me saying never again. And
Right.
now I'm on like my third book that's going to be coming
Right.
out. And you're like, oh, it wasn't so bad. You almost forget all the
It's
pain.
like having kids. Exactly.
So I'm curious if the two of you, and I want to talk more about what's actually inside shoveling shit, but
Yeah.
has there been a moment in a car ride from one podcast to a TV show where you guys are like, ah, shit, we should have actually, if we did this again, we should have done X, Y, or Z?
1,000%. Because, one of the things that Mike and I wanted to do with this book is learn something new, right? So this was entirely out of our comfort zone. I mean, obviously Mike has his master's in journalism and is an incredible writer, but writing a book's very different. So we had to learn how to write a book together when we're usually in very different lanes. So that was interesting. And then it took us like, a couple weeks and we got our rhythm. And then you have to learn about this industry that's just really backwards right now. And we had to learn that we have to market our own book, right? That kind of thing, that no one actually sells books. It's you, the author, that has to sell books, which is interesting because a writer would probably not be a good salesperson, right?
No,
So
totally. Different hat.
it's different skill sets. So definitely, I mean, there's so many things I think we could do differently. We should have done differently. Do you agree, Mike?
Yeah. I mean, I'd never thought of it like giving birth, but it is giving birth of a different type of thing. And, like giving birth, it's like squeezing a watermelon through a garden hose. You're
Wow.
blindfolded during an
Wow.
earthquake as someone's poking pencils in your eyeball. But you get through it and you're like, oh, I love this thing, right? Like, I knew it was in me. Now it's out of me. I got it. It's in the world. And what's interesting is we approached this very much like a business, and we did a lot, but we really didn't, because we believe strongly in focus. And we use the same tools that we outline in the book, the V2 Mom, to actually create, our own focus for the project. And so we didn't do a lot, but what we did, we went all in and we said, okay, what's our goal? We want to be a bestseller, not because of money. We're giving it all to Cycle for Survival, but because why write a book if no one reads it? Like, okay, like write a book, but like, why go put your why put your life story down and everything you've learned, just have it sit on the shelf? So we're like, let's get it out there if we're going to do it. So the biggest part was committing to it and saying, we're only going to do it if we go all out. And then we basically put together a plan, and the best way to not be as stressed out as an entrepreneur, not full of fear, not full of like uncertainty and doubt and all these like negative emotions, is to have a plan that you can really hold on to and trust, right? So we don't know. We still don't know. You know, we have a few more days to find out if we're a bestseller, but we're not going to not work, right? Like, we're just going to go through the process of doing what we think we need to do to succeed. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, we tried our best. And I think that's kind of all entrepreneurs can do. I spoke to an entrepreneur today who was very upset, and he didn't feel like he was able to decide what to focus on in the morning. So, and he started asking questions. When you're at golf.com or you're at Buddy Media, how did you know what to do? There's so much coming at me. I got customers. I got to talk to my product team. I have all these other thoughts, right? I have marketing that I want to do that I haven't done. And he hadn't, it just happened to be a he, it could have been a she, but he called and he hadn't done the exercise to really say, okay. And I asked him, what do you want to be as a business? The number one, blah, blah, blah. Okay. What are the 3 things you need to do to get there? I'd never thought about it. Well, that's why you don't know what to do when you wake up in the morning, right? And once you have, I got to do 1, build the product, 2, sell it, 3, support it, 4, market it with excellence. Then you just wake up, you look at the list. What do I need to do? Okay, I got to push that forward, right? And so the book was very similar, felt very similar to a company. Here's the plan. Let's just execute the plan. It was smaller than a company. It was easier than like launching a company. I don't want to like insult entrepreneurs. I think launching a company is much harder than a book, but it's the same process.
No, but I completely get it. And I want to make sure we talk about your book, but I can't help, but there's similarities to like when I was writing Return on Courage, as I went through my process, that, my situation when I was writing that book originally it was a devious business card. That's what it was going into it. Like, right. Like, I'm in San Diego. I'm not New York. I'm not LA. Wow. We're big for San Diego, but we're like kind of in tennis no man's land. We're like we're small everywhere else. So going in, the hypothesis was we have to be better than others, and people have to irrationally fall in love with us if they're actually going to choose a company in San Diego. And then you go on the journey, and all the leaders that I met with, I was like, oh shit, I missed this lesson. I missed this lesson. I missed this lesson. And I realized I wasn't writing a business card. I was writing a business plan for my next business, which is courageous. Now, that wasn't the plan, right? But then like when you write a book about courage, you kind of have to live the premise and leap. For you guys, I'm curious, is shoveling shit also a business plan? Like, is it now? I guess maybe I'll start by asking, did you guys go self-publish, hybrid, or traditional? And I can only imagine the conversation on this one alone.
So we went hybrid primarily because we wanted the benefit of a large publishing company without the downside, which is not owning our story, not owning the IP. And so hybrid, you have, it's a company called Amplify, which they have incredible editors and they really know kind of how to craft a book. And that's what we got the most out of. Like, we'd never written a book. And so the feedback on like, you really should do this, that, like, really helped. But most publishers don't market anyway, unless you're like a really big name. If you're Joe Rogan, they're happy to like do some marketing for you. So we knew we'd have to market it. We knew we'd have to make asks of friends, and the economics are just better. You get the vast majority of the revenues for 15% royalties. Having said that, it's, we could see ourselves self-publishing. We could see ourselves as a traditional company. Traditional company, it seems like, are for people who are optimizing for that advance. And, just there's no advance that someone would be willing to pay to make it worthwhile. And so, when we started the process, we were very, we don't have a business plan around it. in the sense that like, we didn't write this to then like sell you a course on whatever, right? Like we did it because it's our life's work and we wanted to like use the next 50 years as impact. Yeah, but how we approached it was very much systematic.
I mean, you say that. It's also, I'm in the hybrid. My first book was Greenleaf Hybrid out of Austin. Same reasons, in the IP. Also, like realistically, the thing that made me the most sad actually was I'm talking about courage, and like there wasn't a single publisher that had the courage to take a risk on me. And I don't blame them. This isn't like poor me and do you hear the violin? But like these are the facts. They're like, how many followers do you have? Like they have a template that they're following to see if you fit their model or not. I'm really happy I went to the hybrid model myself. I will also say, once you read this book, you can't not want to work with you because our logics are so aligned. That's how I felt, was that you put your shit out into the world, literally here, right? And you're like, yes, oh, that's interesting. They put that first. That came so much later for me. Oh, I could see why that should have been first. And it's not like you guys are know-it-alls. You've lived it, so you kind of know, I wish we would have put it first here. So also, interestingly enough, any sort of anxiety when people look for you on Amazon, because obviously when you put in shoveling, they don't spell shit.
Right. So you can actually put shoveling shit into Amazon and it comes up, which is great. I don't know how our team figured that one out.
Not at the beginning. That was
not at the beginning.
change.
Yeah.
Somebody did some work there, had some conversation with the Amazon people, no?
Which is why having the hybrid model helped, right?
Yeah.
That's a positive.
One of my favorite stories from the book early, and it was sort of that moment where I wish people could see me, but I did this thing where you're like, it was head down, was the acknowledgement. It was very matter of fact and early in the book that you guys kind of brought the insight to the table that it is easier to shift the model than to lose the founder.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's so true. I mean, we create an analogy that having a co-founder is like having a spouse, right? Or a partner in life. It's the first person that you're going to text in the morning. It's the last person you're texting at night. So you better get this right. It's a very important decision because, like you said, easier to change business models than co-founders. And the work that's required is deep conversations, the uncomfortable conversations, and in your world, the courage to have them before you get excited to start something with someone. It's easy to get excited, like, dude, bro, we're going to totally do this. This is going to be great. We're going to rock it. This is going to be awesome. But you also have to say, like, how hard do you want to work? And why are you doing this? Like, what's your goal out of this? Is it money? Is it freedom? Is it whatever? And my favorite question is, hey, by the way, when we do this, and let's just say that we're aligned on work ethic, what do you need on the side that's very important to you? Maybe it's family. Maybe it's I want to play golf once a week. Because you guys got to know that about each other so you don't resent it later when they're doing it. They're actually doing what they need to blow off the stink as an entrepreneur.
What % of teams that you encounter, and this is, you don't need data, like give me the eyeball test here, because I think people think they are working hard, but are they? Like, what does that even mean? Like, how do you,
Well, Mike has a theory on this, so I'll say my thing. I think people do a lot of busy work and think they're working, right? But it's about focus. And if you don't know what you're supposed to be doing every day, you're not working hard. And you can work hard and it doesn't equate to 15 hours too. Like, that's another kind of myth I want to, just absolutely show, is that you could work 4 hours and do the right things and focus on the right things and work very hard at it.
Mike, you got a theory on this? I want to hear it.
Output is a combination of how hard you're working and how smart you're working. And there are a lot of people in this world who work really hard and have demanding jobs, like nurses, construction workers, service industry employees, or they're juggling multiple jobs. In the knowledge economy, which we've come from there are just as many people who are kind of grinding, right? Like they're working nonstop. I got to go. I got to do another meeting. And they're, they've got side hustles. And so for us, a great entrepreneur is putting all the wood behind the right arrows. And some of the most successful entrepreneurs, after that initial startup phase, because when you start up a company, you're a startup, the whole goal is to be a company, right? Like you have no employees, you want revenues, you want profits. And so you're trying to become a company. And the smartest founders are not working these schedules that you would expect. When I tell people that Gary Vaynerchuk gets 8 hours of sleep minimum a night, they're like, no way. Yes, he does. Like he's a very close friend and he needs that. How he works has only gotten smarter over time. And it started when he was a startup CEO and founder. And so focus. It gets back to like, are you doing what you should be doing? Which has been a huge struggle for me, as Kass will communicate, because I get unfocused. I take meetings I shouldn't take. Some of those do lead some places. But I like the shiny object. I want to explore. You can't do that if you want to build something great.
Well, curiosity has a place, but I am curious. Kass, do you have a safe word for Mike when you see him? Like you need a safe word just to sort of like short circuit him back into the day.
There's no safe word. It's more like, what are you doing? Like
It's
this
more like
is
you're
a
fucking
waste.
asshole.
Like this is a waste of time. Why are you doing this? Yeah. There's no safe words needed.
And Mike, you just like, you're right, or you like,
That's
I
it.
don't know.
That's
Is that,
exactly
I mean,
it.
no. So Kass is usually right, but sometimes she's not. Like a
Mike,
lot
come
of
on. Rarely. Come on.
So I go to events that I don't know what the outcome are going to be, right? Like I've run a CES every year for the last 15 years. It's where I really got to know Liquid Death, which has turned into one of our largest investments. It's where I learned about kind of the Minecraft world and kind of these like early influencers. Which has been, we've done some stuff in that space. And so you have to, as an entrepreneur, give yourself time to think. But that is not an excuse not to be focused. That is the icing on the cake. There ain't no icing if there ain't no cake. And so you gotta focus on the cake.
I like that line a lot. I'm going to use that somewhere. Yeah, I have a cake line, but it's to talk about the next generation. I say they want to have their cake, they want to eat it too, and they want the cake to be gluten free.
I mean, listen, there is icing without cake. I mean, go to the grocery store, but it's just not the same, right? Like
No, it's really icing. My daughter wants icing with a side of cake. These are facts. These are facts. All right, here's the courageous moment of the show. There was, and you already know how I feel a little bit about this. There was only one thing about the book that I asterisked. There's little asterisks on, and that was I love it. I love it. It was the marketing on it, like the whole 50 proven cheat codes thing. I know this is a surprise that this might come up, because is it really a cheat code? Like you got to do the work, right?
We've had this argument before, this talk about the word cheat. Like part of it is marketing, like you said, like people know what it is. It's ways to do things faster. Like I think the part that we, obviously you and I are kind of stumbling on here is the fact that as entrepreneurs, there are no shortcuts.
Right.
You have to do the reps every single day, right? You can't talk about doing the work. You just have to do the work every single day, week, month, year. So saying it's a cheat code is like kind of saying you're cutting corners. I think it was just a marketing term we used.
But is it like, I like the term, so one of the cheat codes, which really helped us, is date nights on Wednesday and Saturday nights. Put it on your calendar, whatever night it is. If you don't invest in the relationships that matter, they will decay. So I call that a cheat code. It still takes work, but if you don't do it, you don't open up that portal to a great relationship, right? So cheat codes to me just say, like, how can you put in the same amount of work but get more out of it? Which for an entrepreneur, it's a lot, right? It's how to maximize your time. AI, certain apps are cheat codes, right? Like, it saves you a lot of time and you make fewer mistakes. And I think when we talk about cheat codes, it really, the idea is by not making all the mistakes, you get to the future faster. It took us 30 years to be like successful, like we are. So like, can you do it in 20, 10, 5, or 2, right? You're only going to do it putting in the work. And there are no shortcuts necessarily, but there are some learnings that will help you do it better and faster, which is what we tried to put in the book.
I mean, and they're all over the book. And like I said, I kind of realized going through the book, I mean, I was a television radio major. There was no reason I should have been in business. Like I wasn't like you guys where, Michael, you pretty much came out of the womb as a watermelon ready to be an entrepreneur, right? Like you knew kind of early on.
I was a journalism major though. I went to Northwestern.
But you had your
didn't
first
know
business
early on.
in college, right? Didn't you launch?
Yeah. In college.
Not what I was doing in college. You know, like what, but do you feel you weren't early?
Growing up, I thought I'd be a journalist. I thought I'd go back to Washington where we were from and be a political reporter. Part of it was my mom was a public interest lobbyist. I was always around politics and policy. And I worked on campus newspaper. I had internships. What unlocked the entrepreneurial spark, I think, very much was the trends. So going to journalism school and seeing the internet for the first time, it's like, holy shit, fuck. Like, this is both not good and very good, depending on how you look at it. Like, oh, what happens if you connect, the world's population through this electronic network? All of a sudden, the printing press looks cute, right? And so the way my mind works, when I go down a rabbit hole, I don't come up until I find whatever is in a rabbit hole, which I don't know what's in a rabbit hole, but rabbits make holes. And I go looking all the time. And when I go looking, it's very painful for Kass because I disappear sometimes, but I usually come up with something. And I did that with the internet and social media and, AI. Everyone's different. Some people are very practical. This is a problem. I want to solve it. They feel a burning need. Others came from a place that they had no money. They're like, I'm just not going to be poor. I was born on third base. My parents had money for education. We went to summer camp. We went on a vacation every year. A lot of people aren't. And so everyone comes to it from different places. I will tell you one thing. If you think that you're a professional and that you don't have to fight for every dollar going forward, forget about it. You are an entrepreneur, whether you know it or not. Who becomes managing director or managing partner of law firms? Who becomes the money makers, the people who bring in the business, the people who kind of make shit happen? So there are no comfortable industries anymore. Even if you're a doctor, you're going to have to fight for your pay.
I like how you said we're all entrepreneurs because I've definitely been like, we're all in sales, but you're spot on. It's more than that. If you go back to, can you share that first business though from Northwestern?
Yeah, so I was working for the Daily Northwestern. I thought I was going to be a journalist, and anything that wasn't created by our staff about the Northwestern and Evanston community, we took AP and Reuters content and we just pumped it into the Daily Northwestern, which was a student-run corporation, not just a newspaper. It was a student-run business. You would just sell ads. We had to do everything. And I was always interested, in addition to the journalism side, the business. Like, how do we do stuff and generate revenue? And I thought that we needed a news service that was for students. And so instead of creating content, I went out and signed 700 campus newspapers to a wire service called uWire. And in exchange for their content, they got everyone else's content. So if you're Ohio State and you want to, write an article, you want to run an article from, the Michigan football writer, you can do it, right? Like if you want to write about mental health, you don't have to write about it. You could find something from another paper. We got the right to syndicate the content, and we had a deal with PR Newswire, which I was just reminded, we did a book signing, and the guy we did the deal with 30 years ago showed up, surprised me. Todd Grossman, a mensch, who he cut one of my first deals with me when I was like 19, 20 years old. And so every time we would send a press release to a campus newspaper, we made $500. If you're in college, you're making $500. You're like, oh, money good. Right? Like you're the one buying beer. And so
Totally.
it wasn't a big business. So we went public as part of another company right after I graduated. But like I always had a few bucks in my pocket from it, which I liked that feeling of independence and getting paid for the work I was doing.
All right, Kass, I want to hear your OG tiptoe in.
I mean, I think I was always trying to figure out things for myself. I was the last kid of 4. I had 5.5 years between me and my closest sibling in age. And, at the end of the day, I think it was my first foray into starting like this interactive arm of an agency. I got to a 24, 25, just start up a whole branch of this marketing agency. And that was really cool. And I just was kind of obsessed ever since. When I moved to be with Mike after that, I was kind of like, oh, I have to go real job. Like I have to do what other people are telling me to do. Like this doesn't make any sense. And I didn't like the culture. I wanted everyone to own a piece of the pie. I was very, very intentional on that you owned a piece of the pie with our companies that we started. And so I just went from there.
I mean, that feels like curiosity to me because you're kind of like, well, why can't it be this way? No?
Well, definitely. I mean, I was running up against walls with those questions. So when it was time for me to say, wait, I think I can do this company called golf.com, I was like, okay, I know exactly how I'm going to make these teams. This is going to be so much better.
I mean, golf.com is not a bad URL to own, no?
No, it's not. It was a pretty good one.
I am curious for both of you, once you tiptoed into this world, isn't it kind of the Matrix? Like, could you even go back?
No way. I got in the world because I didn't want to sit at a desk and have a regular job. And once you taste kind of the lifestyle, which for me is both painful and full of suffering and hard work and making excuses to your friends why you can't show up and traveling when you don't want to travel and all this stuff. And it was always where I found my purpose and early on my identity. So it became a part of who I'm a startup founder, right? Which I didn't really understand until much later, how much of it was identity and ego driven. It's very hard to go back. I've only had one job, and luckily it was for one of the world's greatest entrepreneurs, which is Mark Benioff. And he said on my first day of work, not even the first day, he said sitting at his townhouse as we were doing the deal, I want you to be here. I want you to be happy. If you're not happy, come to me, do something else. I need entrepreneurial energy here. We want to continue to reinvent who we are, and we need entrepreneurs to do it. And if you cut open our arms, it's the same entrepreneurial blood. And that's the same blood that I feel like I share with you and every entrepreneur, whether you're running a pizza place or NVIDIA.
I mean, Lido's should be national, though. Can we agree with this?
Sauce. Listen, I want that sauce out there. That's what I want.
That's a good idea. Really good idea.
Just give me the sauce. See, I think, Mike, you're right. You could never go back and work for someone else. I think being in the number 2 spot as an operator, I could. I don't think I'd like it. And I also know that if push came to shove and I needed a job, I could definitely do it. I would worry about you, Mike. I would definitely worry. Like, you probably would have a tough time.
If I had, so I was just we were talking to Gary about this. Like, we fantasize about what if we lost it all? Like, would we be miserable? Like,
I have a great game. You ready? I have a great game. I have to be careful because I don't want to knock a brand here, but I'm going to knock a brand. This is a game that my wife and I play every time we pass. Do you guys remember Wiener Schnitzel?
Of course.
I remember it.
Okay, I'm just throwing it out there. So the game is, what would it actually take from you to go from where you are right now to working the drive-through at Wiener Schnitzel? And it has to be real. Go.
I mean, what would it really take? Like, let's just say there are a lot of things that have gone bad. not only for us, but the world. I mean, like,
Well, wait, I mean, that's a pretty obvious answer. I mean, what would it take? Like, I mean, I think you just say, like, we hit rock bottom, we blew through money, we can't pay our mortgage, all this kind of stuff, like all that kind of stuff. But what would it take? Like, I don't see Mike working in Wiener Schnitzel. I see myself working there and re-operationalizing the whole thing and making that line shorter.
I think what it would take for me to work at Wiener Schnitzel is basically losing my fantasy football this year.
That's how it starts.
My commissioner is Seth Meyers. I know he's listening to this, and the penalty this year is going to be you have to work at Wiener Schnitzel for a day.
We're getting them on board.
So that's what it's going to take for me.
I
to
love
work
it,
there.
and I love the nod to was Myers your roommate, or you're just?
He was, but he's really just a great commissioner. I thank him for being such a wonderful commissioner of our league.
By the way, it's funny. Mine would also start with some sort of a gambling moment. Then I lied to my wife. Like that's the beginning of the spiral all the way down.
What's interesting is the idea of like rebuilding does not stress me out.
Yeah.
At all. Like, we were happy when we didn't have money. We were much happier when we're more comfortable. There's some times I wasn't as happy. Money buys healthcare, buys security, it buys your time back, which I really appreciate, being able to like, not have to do everything in my life and focus on the stuff that really matters. But at the end of the day, like, it doesn't really scare me. Like, we are who we are. And if that's what kind of my journey took me, let's go. Let's shovel shit and make it back. Right. My friend's James Altucher, who's very old friend, investor in Buddy Media, is, his own podcast, written 25 books. He's talked about what it was like to make and lose $200 million.
Wow.
And it's painful, but you just get back on the horse and you do it
again. Yeah. The suffering and love, they kind of do. They go hand in hand,
Yes,
right? Like
they sure do.
Right. And so you got to, I mean, it's like the scene in Jaws when you're like showing off all your scars. You're like, let me show you this one with this entrepreneurial story.
The badge of honor.
But that's what I meant by the business plan. Like when I read Shoveling Shit, I was like, you're kind of attracting other entrepreneurs. This is the community of people you've always wanted to be around. At least I felt.
Right.
That's what I felt.
Yeah, definitely. We love entrepreneurs and we love their energy and their ideas, right? Like, there's a reason why, like, not for nothing, like, we were both born and raised right outside DC. There's a reason why we don't live there, right? Like, we want to be around very creative, interesting, might I say weird people.
All right. If you have a question for Mike or Kass, dial 1-800-THE-SHIT. I actually don't know what would happen if you do that, but maybe there's a way to get the number. I'm just
probably like the sewage company.
Hey, that's we should have called them right now to sort of see what pops.
Seriously.
But like, take us home. I'd love to hear from both of you. You talk. This is a love story. You're now on the other side of it. You're not like you're in it, but you're of the book at least. Tell everyone, especially if they're an entrepreneur, why. Like, by the way, this is not like a 3,000-page book. Like, it was very thoughtful. Like, you could read it. It's personable. But Kass, I'll start with you. Like, if you were going to give sort of the, hey, it's a love story, here's what you're going to get from it, how would you sort of wrap it up?
I would say that we wrote this book to pay homage to all the entrepreneurs out there. It's our love story of being an entrepreneur. It's our love story to them. And obviously it's, the story about us, but I hope that they can take our stories, take our failures, mistakes, and wins and duplicate them and have fewer losses. That would be what I think. We wrote it in a way where we summarize lessons at the end of every chapter to make this super easy. In my kind of very operational mind, I wanted to repeat myself. As Mike always says, here she goes, repeating herself. I did it at every end of every chapter.
All right, Mike, what about for you?
For me, it's our gift that we hope will grow your confidence as an entrepreneur and both help you realize that your misery is not unique and help you find that purpose and passion in what you're doing so that you are more confident and you don't give in to the disastrous impact of fear and uncertainty and doubt that never leaves us. Every time we do anything, there's uncertainty. And when we started writing the book, who knows if people are going to like it? Who knows if it's going to be a bestseller, right? But you just put your head down, you work smart. And it's just, the book to me was just a reminder about how important it is to show up, to get dirty, to make a choice to keep going, even when it's so hard you can't think. And in the end, you will not only be living the life you want, but hopefully through our cheat codes about life, you'll be able to have relationships that really are meaningful, which when we look back, it's the relationships that we've had. And frankly, the relationships that we're making in this process that is going to make our life richer.
Well, it's just awesome. And the other thing I love is it's every time I've heard you talk about business, it isn't just for the sake of making money. There's always the impact and like it's what you can do for the world, which is so, I think, unique.
Well, just huge. We're huge believers that like we're in a world where it's basically the haves versus have-nots, and that's how everything is portrayed politically, culturally. And we just think that, you know, no matter who you believe in, God wants you to be rich. And if you are fortunate enough to have resources, you have a responsibility to plow them back. It's not a nice to have, it is your responsibility, which is what's disappointing about some of our biggest entrepreneurs in this country is they somehow have lost that story.
This feels like a sequel. That feels like, and I can't help myself. I've actually, I think I've got a good name for the sequel. Can I run it by
Okay, good.
you?
Yeah, tell me.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Going number 2.
Oh man, I got to get the URL. Wait.
I mean, go get it.
Okay.
Just go get it right now.
Done.
Going
Oh
number
my God.
2.
That's
Going
funny.
number2.com. I mean, that way we don't have to, we stay with efficiencies on the shovel. It's still a love story about shit. Right? Is this,
that's a good one.
All right. Oh, this is like the Costanza. I'm dropping the mic. This is the end. This is the end of the podcast. I will say Mike's wearing a hat that says shoveler, which I love. How do I get a shoveler hat? Where does one go to get that?
One gets it from us, and I will be sending it to you. I just need off air your address, and I will be sending it to you. We've actually had a lot of people who want entrepreneur gear, and we are going to set up a shop. Again, not to make money.
We really?
We'll be donating.
Wow.
Yes. And not to make money, I'd like to give most of it away to Cycle for Survival. But I think it's cool to have our badges, you know, kind of in writing, right?
I mean, number one, I'm doing that Napoleon Dynamite move. Remember? Like the yes.
Yes.
Mike's holding up a gold spoon right now, the shoveler.
Maybe we should sell these, Kass, the gold spoons.
Yeah, we could. How funny would it be if we sold the gold spoons from Amazon to you for more?
I like it. You guys keep rolling. It's so nice to get to know you and to hear your stories. And I know we're going to stay in touch. Keep shoveling shit. Where people best place to get the book? Do you want to?
Amazon. Just Amazon. Easy.
Keep it simple. All right, folks. Shovel some shit. Keep going. Good stuff. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Courageous Podcast. If you enjoy the show, don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts so more people can find us. See you again next week.